Have you ever whispered a question into the silence of your room, late at night? A question you ask while staring at the ceiling, or during a quiet prayer that feels like it's going unanswered. Why can't I hear God? It's not a demand, not a shout, but a whisper filled with hope, confusion, and maybe even a little bit of fear. So many of us believe that if God really wanted to speak, he would be loud, clear, impossible to miss. But what if the problem has never been God's silence? What if the problem is the way we listen? Think about it. We often expect thunder, visions, or some dramatic sign in the sky. But the Bible tells a different story. Remember the prophet Elijah? He waited for God on a mountain. A violent wind tore through the rocks, but God wasn't in the wind. The earth shook, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Fire fell from the sky, but God wasn't in the fire. And then, after all the chaos faded, there came a still, small voice. It was quiet, understated, almost easy to miss. And that's the first truth we often forget. God rarely shouts. If he whispered to prophets and kings, why do we expect him to yell at us? The voice of God doesn't compete with the noise of our lives. It doesn't fight for attention over the chaos. It waits for stillness. You see, whispers require closeness. You can't hear a whisper from across the room. You have to lean in. You have to quiet everything else down. But in our world, a world that's always loud, always rushing, always distracted, stillness feels uncomfortable. Silence feels strange, so we fill it. With music, with videos, with endless scrolling, with voices that never, ever stop. And then we turn around and say, God never speaks to me. But what if he is speaking, and we've simply drowned him out? People ask, how do I know it is God's voice, and not just my own thoughts? That's a fair question. Your mind is loud. It replays conversations, imagines worst-case scenarios, and creates fears about things that haven't even happened. But God's voice is different. Your thoughts might spiral into anxiety, but God's voice brings a sense of clarity and peace, even when the message is hard to hear. Fear shouts at you. God guides you. His voice doesn't bring confusion. It brings direction. Not always a full explanation, but a clear sense of where to go next. And here's another thing we misunderstand. God doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes his voice is a feeling of restraint. You're about to say something, and you feel a check in your spirit. You're about to make a big decision, and suddenly, all your peace is gone. That quiet hesitation, that inner resistance, that is often the voice of God. Not always pushing you forward, but sometimes gently holding you back. This is why so many of us miss it, because God will not speak over what we refuse to silence. If our lives are a constant stream of noise and distraction, heaven will feel very quiet, not because God is absent, but because our awareness is. Another hard truth is that revelation often follows obedience. If God has already given you a step to take, he's not obligated to give you the next 10. It's not a punishment. It's protection. He wants to see if you trust him with what you already know before he reveals more. And for those seasons when God feels completely silent, when there's no confirmation, no clarity, just quiet, remember this. A teacher is always silent during a test. Your faith isn't proven when God is speaking loudly. It's proven when he's not. Silence is not abandonment. It is a sign of his trust in you. So if you want to hear the voice of God, you don't need a special gift or a supernatural experience. You need awareness. You need stillness. Start by creating moments of silence. Turn down the noise that numbs you and turn off the distractions that pull you away. Don't rush to fill the quiet space. Just sit. Just listen, because God is not distant. He's not ignoring you. He's closer than you think, waiting for you to lean in and hear his whisper. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content like this.